I'm alright. Nobody worry about me. Why you got to give me a fight? Can't you just let it be?
Welcome back to Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. I'm Magnum Mills and I'm flying solo this week to break down the 2025 edition of the Travelers Championship. Not quite sure where Jamie G is again. Must have been one of those nights at the 19th hole. Thank you very much for checking out Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. We are presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF. Same place on the web, seizethegapff.com. Very simple, very easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please hit that thumb. Before we get into the Travelers, I think we need to take a minute and pause to talk about last week's US Open because it was kind of crazy and kind of awesome in a little bit of a sadistic way. I hate to admit it, but it is kind of fun to see golfers out there, professionals, hacking it around like they are regular folk like us out at the Muni 18, banging it around on the weekend or what have you. It was expected to be tough. Oakmont is generally one of the toughest tracks, if not the toughest track that we generally see these tour players play. It was more or less a massacre from Jump Street on Thursday. Shout out JJ Spawn, the eventual winner, who was also the round one leader, shot 4 under a 66 on Thursday. Very impressive. And he was also possibly the main beneficiary of a rain delay on Sunday. He was a mess. He bogeyed 4 of his first 5 holes, but then JJ Spawn turned it on the back nine, played the back nine, I believe, 3 under. And more importantly, after that rain delay, he birdied 17 and 18. Only needed a 2-putt to win, but he sunk a 64-foot bomb on 18 in what will become a fairly iconic moment, I am pretty sure. Very cool, good stuff. It was more or less what we expected. A little bit of a massacre. You saw a couple of random names. Scotty Scheffler wasn't dominating like we thought. He was, very steady here, but we really thought this was his tournament to lose. And turns out JJ Spawn was the only man who could defeat par. Again, great moment. Loved that. Robert McIntyre was in second. He was in the clubhouse watching it, and he was just like, "Yeah, what are you going to do?" It was a hell of a putt. It was a hell of a tournament. Unfortunately, Corey Connors was the one kind of casualty here. He withdrew after Saturday. He hurt his wrist on a bunker shot, and unfortunately, he has withdrawn from the Travelers. So, sorry, Corey Connors, you're one of our guys. Hopefully, you get back in the mix soon. Rounding out the top 10 after JJ Spawn won it at 1 under. Everybody else was over par. Robert McIntyre in second at 1 over. Victor Hovland in third at 2 over. We had a 3-way tie at fourth between Carlos Ortiz, Cameron Young, and Terrell Hatton at 3 over. Scotty Scheffler led the trio, tied for 7th. Him, John Ron, and Sam Burns were all 4 over par. Rounding out the top 10, we had the still white-hot Ben Griffin and Russell Henley tied for 10th at 5 over par. A couple other notable names here. Brooks Koepka tied for 12th at 6 over. Rory McIlroy tied for 19th at 7 over. Started out the first couple holes okay. Didn't do so much until Sunday rolled around. Shot a 67 on Sunday. Fairly impressive. We'll see if he can keep that momentum going this week. And Colin Morikawa finished tied for 23rd at 8 over par. The cut line wound up being 7 over. Notable players to miss the cut included Ludwig Oberg and Patrick Cantlay at 8 over. Tommy Fleetwood at 9 over. Bryson DeChambeau and Joaquin Niemann at 10 over. Justin Thomas at 12 over. And our guy, Shane Lowry, all the way towards the back of the bus here, plus 17. Sorry, Shane. Hopefully you can turn it around this week because we have to put all that behind us and move on to this week's Travelers Championship. We are playing at TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut. This is a par 70 golf course playing 6,844 yards. The original architects were Robert J. Ross and Maurice Kearney. This was way back in 1928. In 1984, Pete Dye did a major redesign, a little bit more remodeling by Bobby Weed in 1989, but this mostly plays like a Pete Dye course. This is the eighth and final signature event of the 2025 PGA Tour season. We have 71 golfers in the field after Connors withdrew. No cut to be had here. $20 million in the purse. $4 million going to the winner, along with 700 FedEx Cup points. No surprise, Scotty Scheffler is the defending champion at 22 under par. Jamie G isn't here, so it falls on me to give you the weather forecast. Luckily, it doesn't look like a very complex one this week. Always remember to check the latest weather reports before setting your lineups or making any wagers because the weather can and will change quickly, especially these days. We kick things off on Thursday with a pretty nice day, just a couple of clouds in the sky, high of 71 degrees, winds in that 10 to 15 mile per hour range, so a little bit windy, slight chance of a stray shower, but not really seeing any reason for concern here. Friday also looks pretty good. Sunny skies, high of 86 degrees. Wind still up there a little bit in that 10 to 15 mile an hour range, but still pretty manageable. More of the same on Saturday. A couple of clouds in the sky, high of 87 degrees. So definitely getting a little bit warmer, but the winds are going to drop down into the 5 to 10 mile per hour range. So pretty good for golf, but might be a little bit warmer as a spectator. And go ahead, call your nosy neighbor Wally because we're going to be in the hot one on Sunday. Clear skies, high of 90 degrees, winds in the 5 to 10 mile per hour range. It will look like a gorgeous day of golf when you're watching on television, but if you are at the golf tournament, it's going to get a little bit warm. Luckily, I don't really see the weather having a big impact this week. Keep an eye on those winds. Perhaps if winds get crazier in the morning or afternoon on Thursday or Friday, there is a little bit of a wave stacking advantage in terms of when players tee off. But as of now, not really seeing it. Not worried about the slight worry for showers. So no weather impact. Hopefully, that's what we like to see. That's what we like to hear. As far as overall thoughts on the Travelers, this is an interesting event because once again, it is all going to come down to Scotty Scheffler. Yes, he disappointed last week. I mean, somehow the man finished tied for seventh at the US Open, was fairly consistent through and through, but still was disappointing to the people who rostered him, to the people who wagered on him, and to himself. The man kept going out to bag drivers after every round. Ultimately was just very disappointed in how he swung the club. I'm going to probably go back to the well here. We'll get to our picks in a minute, but he's still in excellent form, excellent history here, checks all the boxes. So if everyone is kind of jumping off the bandwagon after his quote unquote poor finish last week, I am probably going to be filling up the space that they are vacating. The biggest two differences that we're going to see between last week's US Open and this week is one, the length of the course. This is not a long course, definitely a positional second shot golf course. So being long off the tee certainly won't hurt you. And this is going to be a birdie fest. Last week, the number was par. Who is going to beat par? This week, I think you're looking at 20 under. Once again, it's kind of be the benchmark. The last 3 years, the winner's been 22 under, 23 under, and 19 under. So I expect, again, another birdie fest here. Wouldn't even shock me if someone like Scotty Scheffler can put up something 27, 28 under par, just an absolutely ridiculous number. So that's kind of the argument there for paying up for some of these elite golfers. Not only are you going to have to be good this week, you're probably going to have to be great if you want to win one of these big tournaments. Definitely a standard affair as far as the Pete Dye course. Second shot golf course, you need to be able to scramble. Definitely going to be focusing on golfers who have been successful on the Pete Dye designs previously. Heavy on the ball strikers as usual. The birdie makers, we're looking for opportunities gained, birdie or better gained. Without a cut, I'm not really worried about floor here. You're not trying to worry about getting 6-6 through. You really just want to get the six highest ceiling golfers you can into one lineup and kind of hope that you just hit on it and it happens to be your week. Also going to be pretty heavy on the golfers who have again played well on these Pete Dye courses. Just remember Corey Connors is not out there. I'm probably going to fade JJ Spawn. He's played well this year. You like to say, oh, he was that far back, a very unexpected winner of the US Open, but he was, I believe, 14th in the rankings going into the tournament. So it's not like he's had a bad year, but this has been a course that has not been good for him. I think he's missed a cut in 3 of his last 4 appearances here, and he's going to be coming off an emotional high after a draining, grueling 4 rounds at Oakmont. So for the most part, I'm going to be fading him, probably throw him in a random deep tournament or two, something like that. But unless the ownership significantly turns around, I am probably out. Overall, I'm not going to really hold bad play at the US Open against golfers. If they played well, I will give them their props and take that into account. But it was a different kind of challenge last week. We saw it just kind of break some golfers. So I don't know how much you can take away other than if somebody played well, I'm going to give them credit for doing so. I don't know where that leaves me on Rory McIlroy. He is a great tournament option because no one wants to take the plunge this week. Did play very well on Sunday, but I'm extremely worried about his mental state. So much like JJ Spawn, I'll probably throw him in a couple of tournament lineups in your big, Millie Maker. They're not running that this week, but the Drive the Green or the large field contest over there on DK. But outside of that, I'm probably going to be cautious with Rory. Checks most of the boxes. The form is fine, I guess. He's just a guy not just not doing it for me this week, man. And he's really a guy I look to more on the more difficult tracks. He can certainly get there in a birdie fest, but it's not his forte. So I'm going to be pretty light on Rory this week. Let's get into our DraftKings picks for the Travelers. Again, another mixed bag last week. We actually did pretty well. I think 7 of the 9 guys we recommended got through the cut. Corey Connors withdrawing hurt, and Sam Burns kind of going into the tank there after that both rules official did not go his way on Sunday. Had he won the thing, I think we would be very happy with our results. But overall, not too bad considering the absolute carnage that was out there. Some of the big names that missed the cut. No choice but to try to do better this week, starting with our top 5 DraftKings plays for the Travelers Championship. At number 5, we have Russell Henley. He's $8,800, projecting for about 20% ownership, plus 4,000 to win the golf tournament, according to the DK Sportsbook. Came in 12th in our model. And I feel bad because last week he looked great in the model. Everything was pointing to a nice week for Russell Henley, but I went ahead and faded him for the most part because he had missed the cut at the 2 previous majors this season. I was wrong. He finished tied 4/10, so I'm going to trust the numbers this week. Jump back on here. Excellent form. He showed excellent ceiling this season. You can see his putter and driver both kind of flake out on occasion. He can usually overcome one of the two not really working well. If they both go haywire, that's when he gets into trouble. Solid history here. Finished in the top 20 in 2 of his 3 last appearances. Very balanced profile. Excellent ball striker who knows how to rack up birdies. That's going to be a theme going forward with most of our guys this week. At number 4, we have JT, Justin Thomas, 9,300, projecting for about 17% ownership, plus 2,800 to win the tournament. Came in second in the model, finished 5th and 9th here the last 2 years. He has been a textbook Bob this season, boom or bust. That works for us here. If he busts, so be it. We are looking for the boom, the high ceiling player. The profile really is astounding. It's not a surprise that he's second in the model behind only Scheffler, probably the most balanced outside of Scheffler. Checks every box that I'm looking for here. In the field, he's third on Pete Dye courses, third in opportunities games, right at home in a birdie fest. So lots to like about Justin Thomas here. JT, are you with me? At number 3, we have Brian Harman, $7,200, projecting for about 13% ownership, plus 7,500 to win the tournament. Came in 18th in the model. Been streaky this year. He's fallen off a bit recently after being on somewhat of a heater, but he is one of the preeminent course horses in the field. Last 4 appearances here, he's finished 9th, 2nd, 8th, and 5th. We love that. No surprise that he is second on the Pete Dye courses. Only real issue recently has been his irons. Not a good one to have, but he's only gained strokes on approach once in his last 5 events. We're hoping he can straighten it out here on a course where he is at home. He's had a lot of success. Again, a streaky player, trying to ride the hot one here, ride the lightning, doing a little bit of a Metallica thing. I'm really just focusing on the upside this week, and I think Russell Henley has that in spades. At number 2, no Corey Connors in the field, so we got to go back to the well with one of our guys at least. Shane Lowry, 8,300, projecting for about 13% ownership, plus 4,500 to win the tournament. Yes, it was ugly last week. No, I don't really care. Came in 9th in the model. He finished 9th and 19th here the last 2 years. Another great ball striker, balanced profile. He can fill up those red numbers, the circles on the scorecard. I was honestly expecting it to be $8,700. So I think you're getting a nice price discount, and 13% ownership feels extremely reasonable. Decent shot. He makes my cash game lineup depending on which way I go with Scotty Scheffler. But spoiler alert, at number 1 this week, we're going to go back to the well with the big dog, Scotty Scheffler. 13,300, $13,300 salary on DraftKings, still projecting for 26% ownership in tournaments. That number is going to be much, much higher in single entry tournaments and in cash games, plus 280 to win the tournament. No surprise, came in first in the model. He is the defending champion. Last 3 appearances here, he's finished 1st, 4th, and 13th. He has top 7 finishes in each of his last 4 events with 2 wins. It is what it is. I wish there was a little bit more value down low, but he's $1,000 cheaper than last week. There's some guys in that 6K range, that low 7K range I can roll with. So I am going to probably lock him into that cash game lineup. Most of my single entries and probably about 50% of my lineups in multi-entry, large field GPPs. This is a spot where, yes, it's going to be a birdie fest. These scoring totals are going to get wild. But not only could Scotty Scheffler win, he could run away with this. We've seen that earlier this year. And if he wins the golf tournament by 4 or 5 strokes, he's 26, 27 under par, something absolutely ridiculous. You are going to have him to win anything of note. We kind of were middle of the road with Scotty last week, tried to hedge our bets, worked out okay because he got us there in our cash lineups, didn't do enough for in tournaments. This week, I think we're going to just go ahead, push all the chips into the middle on Mr. Scheffler and take our chances. So that's the top 5 for this week. At number 5, Russell Henley. At number 4, Justin Thomas. At number 3, Brian Harmon. At number 2, Shane Lowry. And at number 1, Scotty Scheffler. But we're going to need some value. Like I said, we got to find a way to get Scheffler in there, right? So it's time to duck into the alley. And no, get your mind out of the gutter. It's not what you're thinking. We're going into the alley because we need to find our doctor.
Take it from me. I am a doctor. Dr. Toboggan. Mantis Toboggan.
Yes, Dr. Mantis Toboggan is the man you need to see if you want to find some value by scrounging around in the dumpster. We need to go dumpster diving here, and Dr. Toboggan has scribbled a couple of names down on that prescription pad for us this week. Right at the top, he is going back to the proverbial dumpster with Bud Cauley. He is 6,800 this week, projecting for 14% ownership, plus 8,000 to win the tournament. Finished 15th in the model, missed the cut last week at Oakmont. Again, not really going to hold that against him. Played very well on Thursday, actually. Stunk it up, I think, shooting 79 or maybe even 80. I think it was 79 on Friday. Not really that worried about it. No recent history here. But again, he's got the exact profile we are looking for. He has been a boom or bust player. He's got 4 top 6 finishes in his last 8 events. That's the kind of upside we are looking for. He's an excellent ball striker. He can go low, decent history on the Pete Dye designs. So we're liking Bud Cauley in the dumpster here. And the doc is going back to another one of the guys we found here before, the sandwich man, Tom Hoge. 6,800, projecting for about 9% ownership, plus 9,000 to win the tournament. Only came in 32nd in the model, but did finish 3rd here last year. He has 4 top 7 finishes this year. That includes the Memorial and the Players. Finished tied for 14th at Augusta in the Masters. So he has been able to play well in some of the strongest fields we've seen this season. Another excellent ball striker with good track record on Pete Dye courses. He has been struggling with his putter, but when he gets hot with the putter, he gets hot. Not that long ago, he went through a streak where he gained at least 2 strokes putting in 5 straight rounds. So as quickly as that putter disappears on him, it can reappear. And if he can keep up the ball striking, balance it out with some decent putting, he could certainly make another run here this week at River Highlands. And then finally, the doc, I don't know, he was on one for this one, but this is, he marked down large field GPP special in very, very large letters. I think that's what the chicken scratch says. I don't know where they teach doctors handwriting, but they don't do a very good job of it unless they make it intentionally bad. Anyways, he's saying if you really want some leverage here, you want to take a chance in a big tournament, how about Wyndham Clark? 6,800, only projecting for about 2% ownership, plus 8,000 to win. Again, you don't want him anywhere near your cash game lineup. I'm not throwing him in any single entries, small tournaments, anything like that, but there is a lot to like. Came in 4th in the model, somewhat surprisingly, finished 9th here last year. He has been terrible for a hot minute. But that being said, it seems like the driver has been coming around. He did miss the cut last week, but it's the best I've seen him hit his irons in a minute. The short game has been pretty decent, and he's one of the best Pete Dye players in the field. So this is a spot, I think, especially if you want to play Scheffler in one of these larger field tournaments, pairing him with Wyndham Clark is a hell of a way to go. That's not only going to save you a little bit of salary, it's going to offer you enough differentiation that you can pretty much play whoever you want at that point if you're just willing to take a shot on him. And again, given how he finished in the model, the top 10 finish here last year, maybe he finds himself. We see it with golfers all the time. They're playing great and they fall apart all of a sudden, or vice versa. They're playing terrible and all of a sudden it all comes together. Golf is a funny game and our job is to be one step ahead of the curve. So if you're in a big tournament, you're looking to get a little weird with it, maybe try Wyndham Clark. So those are the 3 dumpster dives from Dr. Toboggan, Bud Cauley, Tom Hoge, and Wyndham Clark, all 6,800, not by design, but things happen in threes. We'll take it as a good sign.
Say, $50 the Smales kid. Pink says no. Okay, got it.
As we move into the wagers, I want to remind you once again, much like the weather, always check the sports books available to you to make sure you are getting the latest odds on your wagers and make sure you're picking up any boosts, bonuses, any of that good stuff they offer. The more sports books available to you in your state, the better the chances are of you getting something fun. So make sure you check it out. Don't be lazy. We are not officially affiliated with DraftKings, but they're welcome to call us. We are getting our odds and wagers from the DraftKings Sportsbook. Everything is accurate as of Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. And you should know here on Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood, all of our wagers are in our preferred currency, the cricket coin. In cricket, we trust, at least until he robs the joint again when we brown out. We're going to start off with our weekly wagers. These are generally your finishing position wagers, make the cut, those kind of things. Keeping the card kind of tight this week. Have 4 offerings here. First up, we're going to put 100 cricket coins on Justin Thomas to finish in the top 5 plus ties. That is plus 450. So 100 cricket coins will bring you back 550. Already discussed him, and we've already discussed Shane Lowry. We're going to put 100 coins on him to finish in the top 10 plus ties. That's plus 300. So 100 coins to bring back 400 when we win that one. Another guy we've already discussed, Brian Harmon, same thing here, top 10 plus ties. That's plus 450, so 100 coins to bring back 550. And finally, at the bottom of the card, we're going to get a little bit weird with it, maybe. How about Ricky Fowler, top 20 plus ties? That's plus 180 odds, so 100 cricket coins brings you back 280. Somewhat surprisingly, he's finished in the top 20 here each of the last 2 years, finishing 20th and 13th respectively, and he has top 16 finishes in 3 of his last 4 events. His main problem has been struggling on and around the greens, but he's actually been one of the better players in the fields when it comes to play on and around the greens on Pete Dye designs. So it seems like a nice bounce back spot for Fowler there. So don't mind him. A little bit of shorter odds, but I feel like that's a solid one. Plus 180. You only have 71 golfers in the field. Just basically needs to finish in the top third. I have faith that Ricky can do it. As far as our matchup wagers, your 3 balls, tournament groups, head to head, that sort of thing. Not a big menu as I am recording this on Tuesday, so only have one of these. It is a tournament group. This is a group of 5 golfers. You need to pick the one who finishes the best, who scores the lowest. If there is a tie, dead heat rules apply. In this group, we have Russell Henley at plus 260, JJ Spawn at plus 320, Hideki Matsuyama at plus 350, Sungjae Im at plus 360, and Taylor Pendrith at plus 400. I usually don't like going with the shortest odds in these, but we're going to go with Russell Henley at plus 260. Already talked about why I like him. It's actually Sungjae that scares me the most out of anyone else in this group. Did really well in the model, and there's a lot below the surface that just says if he can get his iron straightened out just a little bit for a couple of rounds in a row, he could really put up a nice score here. So someone to keep an eye on, but we are going to go with Russell Henley in this tournament group. And I think I hear Kenny Loggins playing, so it must be time for the parlay partay. Be very judicious at what parties you attend, what things you eat off the buffet at an old school Hollywood party, and always make sure you're being careful when you are messing with parlays, especially in golf. You love the returns, but you are going to go quite a distance between wins here, so make sure you allocate your bankroll and adjust accordingly. We only have one parlay to offer to the partay this week. This is a 4-leg top 20 plus ties parlay. So all 4 of these golfers must finish tied for 20th or better if we want to take this one down. Leg number 1, we have Justin Thomas minus 110. Leg number 2, Tommy Fleetwood minus 110 as well. Leg number 3, Russell Henley plus 105. And finally, leg number 4, Shane Lowry plus 115. So you parlay those 4 golfers together, all to finish in the top 20 plus ties. Your odds are plus 1,506. So a wager of 100 cricket coins will return 1,606 cricket coins. Not bad, not bad. And it's not all parlays at the partay. We also like to play a little game we call Let Me Ride. This is a bankroll contest where we're trying to determine the best approach to wagering in golf. Do you want to try to do it small and incrementally with a fair number of wins, or you just want to try to win one big one once in a while? The choice is yours, and of course, the winner gets a sweet, sweet prize. Fairly simple game. You start with 100 cricket coins. You make one wager per week. Got to be a single wager, no parlays or what have you. Whoever gets to 1,000 coins first is the winner of the round. However, there is a catch. Each week, you must let your entire bankroll ride on that wager. If you win, you keep going. If you miss, you go back to 100, you start over, you get a strike. Strikes are bad because if we finish the season and we're still in the middle of the round, whoever has fewer strikes will be declared the champion. Last week, we were both back at 100 coins. Jamie G had 100 on Bryson DeChambeau to finish in the top 10 plus ties. He was trying to go for the little guy to get started again. Unfortunately, Bryson missed the cut, so no soup for you, Jamie G. I went with Patrick Reed to be the low live golfer in round one. That was plus 1,200. I was feeling it, but unfortunately, it was Brooks Koepka who got it done there. He shot a 68. It was actually the second low man overall in round one. So shout out Brooks. You were the right play there. Patrick Reed shot 73. Not terrible, but not nearly good enough. That means we are both back at 100 coins. Jamie G is in the lead this round because he only has 6 strikes while I have 10, but I won round one. This is round two, so I am up 1 round to 0. This week, Jamie G's going back to the well with one of our guys, and a wager pretty similar to what he usually does. He's going with Shane Lowry to finish in the top 20 plus ties. That's plus 115. So his 100 coin wager will return 215 coins. I'm going to go with Brian Harmon to finish in the top 10 plus ties. That's plus 450. So won't get me all the way there, but if I hit this one, my 100 coins will become 550 coins, and I will be more than halfway home. He has finished in the top 10 4 consecutive years here. Can he make it number 5? I am willing to put my money where my mouth is to find out. That brings us to the one and done section of the program. Last week, there was so much money in the pot. You had the live golfers in the field. We said go big or go home. Unfortunately, there were quite a few mixed results here. Pretty much everybody finishing either tied for 7th or missing the cut. It is what it is. We weren't going to get to JJ Spawn no matter how hard we tried, but perhaps we could have gotten to Victor Hovland or Sam Burns. This week, we have almost as big of a pot here. We have $20 million in the purse, $4 million going to the winner. Again, this is not a spot where you want to hold anything back. You want to keep the pedal to the metal. So I'd say no matter where you are in your one and done contest, if you have Scotty Scheffler left, smoke him if you got him. This is it. Don't overthink it. He's plus 280 to win. He's the defending champion here. Gets $4 million if he wins. Do the Nike thing. Just do it. If you are currently near the top of your one and done contest and you don't have Scheffler, consider Xander Schauffele. He's plus 1,600 to win. Came in 3rd in our model. Been a very good course horse here. Last 4 appearances, he's finished 13th, 19th, 1st, and 20th. Seems to be rounding back in form. Been solid the last couple weeks. After returning from injury, it was a bit of a slow start. I think he is ready to break through with another W here. If it's not Scotty Scheffler, he is probably my second favorite pick to win the golf tournament. If you're kind of in the middle of the road of your contest, we have 2 options for you. First up, Justin Thomas, plus 2,800 to win. I already talked about him. Came in 2nd in the model. Probably going to pick up a decent amount of ownership, but I think a lot of entries have already used him. So you should be pretty comfortable that you're not going to see a lot of duplication. He's got the upside we're looking for here. And at this point, if you are in the middle of the road, you need to start making some moves if you want to have any chance of winning your contest. Also, if you're in the middle of the pack, consider Keegan Bradley. He's plus 3,500 to win. Came in 14th in the model. Won this thing 2 years ago. Last 3 appearances here, he's finished 39th, 1st, and 19th. Another guy who's in excellent form, checks most of the boxes I am looking for here, and I don't think he's going to pick up a lot of ownership in one and done this week. So if you got Keegs out there, don't be afraid to roll them out if you're in the middle of the pack. And finally, if you are way behind, you're probably going to have to dig a little bit deeper. I don't recommend going all the way down into the dumpster with Dr. Toboggan, but I think there's a couple of guys you could pick who's got some upside who are not going to pick up any ownership to speak of this week. First up, we have Daniel Berger. He's plus 4,500 to win. Came in 5th in the model. Another guy who's been a bit inconsistent after going through a pretty hot stretch earlier in the season. No recent history here. Again, I think that's going to help along with the recent form to drive his ownership down to next to nothing. Profile looks great. One of the best players in the field in terms of history on Pete Dye Designs. Really like Berger if you're behind in your one and done and you're trying to make a major move. And finally, I already talked about him a lot. Brian Harmon, plus 7,500 to win. Second in the model, streaky player, but he's got the upside we are looking for here. So if you're way behind, now is the time to take a chance. So those are our one and done recommendations for the Travelers. Smoke them if you got them, Scotty Scheffler. If you're near the top of your contest, Xander Schauffele. If you're kind of stuck in the middle, Justin Thomas or Keegan Bradley. And if you are way behind, consider Daniel Berger or Brian Harmon. And we have to make the picks for our Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood one and done contest. Last week, Jamie G had John Rahm, finished tied for 7th, brought home a little under $616,000. Not a bad weekend of work. I went with the defending U.S. Open champion, Bryson DeChambeau, and he flamed out pretty spectacularly, missing the cut, so I got $0. That means Jamie G now has about 5.7 million. I'm down at about 4.2 million. So Jamie G's up by about 1.5 million. I can make that up this week, but if he can extend the lead, we're out of signature events, only one major left. I'm going to be running out of time to catch up. So it is a big week in our contest. Jamie G's used a lot of the top options, so he's going to go with a guy who showed a little bit of resurgent form at the Open, Victor Hovland, plus 3,000 to win. That's the shortest odds of any player he had available. Hovland came in 16th in the model. Last 3 appearances here, finished 20th, 29th, and 11th, so solid enough history. Had that 3rd place finish at the Open last week. Does seem like he has found himself, so I like what Jamie G is putting down there. I've already used Scheffler and Schauffele. Without them available, I'm going to go with Justin Thomas. I've actually already used Keegan Bradley as well, so not a ton of options for me here either. We're getting down into the end of June, so not a huge surprise. Thomas is plus 2,800 to win, so I'm hoping he can put it all together for me this week. And thank you for putting it together with Birdies, Bogeys, Bushwood. Checking out our coverage of the Travelers. We will be back next weekend, every week throughout the rest of the 2025 PGA Tour season. Thanks again for checking out the show. We are presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Find our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like those flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please hit the thumb. I'm Magnum Mills on behalf of myself and the absent Jamie G. Good luck this week. Hit them well. Enjoy watching the golf. Get that air conditioner ready. It's about to be a hot one out there, and we will catch you at the 19th hole. Cheers.